is Rikicha An-to-nee-uh. I'm the 10th Miss University of the Bahamas. So today we're just covering a few topics that you would need to refresh your skills on before classes start, just to make sure you aren't stressing yourself up over the topics you will be covering in class. So let me get my handy dandy markers. I got these a while ago from Chapter 1 bookstore. The favorite color is pink, but I need the actual content to show, so let's go with blue. Okay? Let's go with blue. Okay, so these are some of the topics that if you review before your course actually starts, it may help you to approach the material better, it can help you to understand the material better, and it can help you with better answering your assessments. So, don't look at these and get scared. That's one thing I always encourage students. In terms of math courses, especially during the first day when they're giving you your course outline and stuff like that, you tend to think that you're bad at math. You tend to see the whole course outline. You tend to get scared, but it's like one step at a time. Like if you was walking from here, let's think about it. If you was walking from Chapter 1 bookstore all the way to Corn, you could think that's a long walk, right? But one step at a time, you're gonna get there, right? So that's how I want you to see math. Yes, it might be a little challenging, but it's not too hard to the point where you can't pass class. You have all kinds of resources. You have me to assist you. The university provides free pair tutors, and I'm always one of the pair tutors, so I can assist you. And the university pays for it, so it's completely free for you, okay? Yeah? All right, let's get into it, starting off with order of operations. Okay, when it comes to order of operations, you have to remember the acronym. That is, you use BODMAS, but I like to use PEMDAS because, I don't know, I just like PEMDAS more. It's the same thing. I use that more. And PEMDAS is parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So when you see an equation like this, you don't just start answering. There's levels to this. There's levels to this. So again, with PEMDAS, you do multiplication and division from left to right. Addition and subtraction from left to right. Okay? So there's levels to this. You can't just answer the question any which way you want. So, let's answer this, right? When you see your acronym PEMDAS, the first thing that you would approach would be the parentheses. So, in this equation, I'm going to approach the parentheses first. Inside the actual parentheses is 5 squared minus 9, right? So you have to do the exponents. So inside the actual parentheses, we're focused on that. We have to square the 5 first and then subtract the 9. And when you're answering your questions like this, especially on your assessments, test 1 or test 2 in your final exam, please show your steps. Don't skip steps in your head. Because especially if you're new to this, you might be doing some dark math. So make sure you write everything on step by step. So even if you make a mistake, you could still get points because your professor sees that you know what you're doing. You just made a mistake. Okay? So we have 3. We're going to bring everything down. So 3 plus 2. What's 5 squared? When you have something like 5 squared, that's just 5 times 5, which is 25. Okay? So 25 minus 9 divided by 4. Okay? So again, what's first? When we look at this, what do you see first? Parentheses. These are still in parentheses. So what's 25 minus 9? 25 minus 9 is 16. So we're going to put equal and bring everything down. So 3 plus 2, open bracket, 16 divided by 4. Okay? So we finished everything in our parentheses, right? So what's next? Exponents. There aren't any exponents for us to do. Multiplication, there is a multiplication for us to do. When you see this number like directly next to a parenthesis, you don't see the multiplication sign, but you're supposed to multiply it, okay? So this is 2 times 16, all right? So if you see anything like 5, 6, that's 5 times 6. 2, 3, that's 2 times 3. Okay? So, we have 3 plus 2 times 16 is 32. So, plus 32 divided by 4. Okay? Let's go back. No parentheses, no exponents, no multiplication, no division. Yes, division. Sorry, there is division. 32 divided by 4. So you're not going to add 3 plus 32 and then divide by 4. No. Order of operations. You have to divide first. So 32 divided by 4 is 8. So we have 3 plus 8. And then there's addition left. So our answer is 9, 10, 11. Okay. Order of operations good? I'm going to leave a worksheet down below with some more examples so you can practice if you want. So you can just better prepare yourself. If you practice now, it's going to really help you when the semester starts officially. Okay? I hope y'all can see what I'm doing. And if my writing isn't the best, please excuse that. Please excuse that. Okay? Alright. Okay, so for this part in particular, I have on my iPad what I want to say because this is extremely crucial. A lot of people struggle with multiplying, adding, subtracting integers, working with integers on the whole, and this is very important. So, okay. So when working with negative numbers, the main thing you need to pay attention to is the operation between the numbers. Adding and subtracting negatives work differently from multiplying negatives. So some rules you need to live by, especially when working with integers, are same signs. You add the numbers and keep the signs. And when you're dealing with different signs, you subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the number with the larger absolute value. And we're going to go over that. So when you multiply in, right, if they have the same sign, when you multiply two integers with the same sign, it's always positive. When you multiply two integers with different signs, it's always negative, okay? So let's work on this example. And remember, PEMDAS still follows. So we have negative 8 plus 3 times, remember, the 3 next to the bracket. We discussed that in the last example. When it's like that, you're multiplying the 2. And then you will subtract over bracket negative 6, okay? So let's break this down. Let me write the rule on the side. Okay, so we wrote the rules on the side, right? First, we're going to deal with PEMDAS. So let me just break this up so you can actually see. It's negative 8 plus 3 times negative 4 minus negative 6, right? So we have 3 times negative 4. So what does the rule say for multiplication? Same signs, the number is going to be positive. Different signs, the number is going to be negative. So when we're multiplying 3 times negative 4, the number is going to be negative 12. So I'm going to write that down here. Negative 8 plus open bracket negative 12 minus open bracket negative 6. Okay. So remember when I said when you see something like 3, 2, that's 3 times 2, right? The number is outside of the bracket, so you just multiply the 2, right? It's kind of the same with operations. So when I say it's kind of the same with operations, look at what's going on. You see this positive, and then the open bracket, negative 12. So you're going to multiply the positive and the negative. Same thing over here. You see this negative, and you see this negative here. Same thing, you're going to multiply the 2. And we have to refer back to our rules. This deals with multiplication. So when you multiply the same signs, it becomes positive. When you multiply different signs, it becomes negative. So when I multiply this plus by this negative, it's going to be negative. So this is going to be negative 8. This positive times this negative turns to a negative. Minus 12. And then you have this, right? You have this subtraction sign and then this negative. Same sign is positive. So multiply the 2, this would be positive 6. I multiply this by this, and it became positive 6. Right? Now, order of operations, addition, you could do addition and subtraction from left to right. So you could just simplify all of this. Negative 8 minus 12. Now, let's work on this step by step. Let's deal with negative 8 minus 12 first. So you have negative 8 minus 12. Let's deal with these two numbers first. So when you have the same signs, you add the number and keep the sign. So we're going to add 8 plus 12, which is 20. So that would be negative 20. Okay? So we have This would be negative 20, so negative 20 plus 6. Okay? Now, different signs, you're going to subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the number with the larger absolute value. So, let's subtract the numbers. So, 20 minus 6. How much is 20 minus 6? That's 14. So, it says also to keep the sign of the number with the larger absolute value. Now, absolute value is the distance between that number and 0 on the number line. So what's the difference between 0 and 6 on the number line? This is the sign for the absolute value. So just put 6 in the middle. This is the thing for absolute value. So the absolute value of 6 is just 6. The absolute value is just the distance between 0 and that number on the number line. So now, the absolute value of negative 20. Remember, that absolute value is just the distance between 0 and that number on the number line. So remember, with the number line, you have 0, you have the negative numbers to your left, and the positive numbers to your right. If you go from 0 to negative 20, you're just moving negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, all the way to negative 20 times. So what's the distance between 0 and negative 20? It's just 20. You don't keep the negative. So it's just 20. So, keep the sign of the number with the larger absolute value. So between positive 6 and negative 20, which one has the larger absolute value? Negative 20 has the larger absolute value. And the sign is negative, so this would be negative 14. You see? Think about it in terms of money. If you owe me $20, you're in a negative, right? And then you pay me back $6. Negative 14, you still owe me 14. You see? Yeah? Yeah? Alright, so operations for negative numbers. It's a lot to remember, but with the worksheet, I'm going to provide a playlist of YouTube videos you can watch too, so it assists you better. So, yeah. Okay, so our next topic is fractions. You should know how to deal with fractions, even though you're going to be using your calculator and stuff. You still need to know how to do it with your head, so that when you do use your calculator, you know if the math ain't mathing or if you make an error, right? So let's say we would like to add 3 over 4 plus 5 over 6. We have, in order to be able to add, they have to have the same denominators. Division and multiplication is something different. So, in order to change the denominators, you have to find the LCD. So to do that, we're going to list out the multiples of 4 and 6. So multiples of 4, 8, 12, 16. Multiples of 6 are 6, 12, 18. Okay? So we have to locate the lowest common multiple, which is 12. Okay? How much times can 4 go into 12? 1, 2, 3 times. So you're going to multiply this entire equation by 3 using 12 and the bottom. So multiply the top and the bottom. How much times can 6 go into 12? 1, 2. So you're going to multiply this entire equation by 2. Okay? So now we're going to change it. 3 times 3 is 9. That's 9 over 12. Plus 5 times 2 is 10. 6 times 2 is 12. So now the new equation is 9 over 12 plus 10 over 12, which is 19 over 12. So we have an improper fraction. Let's say we wanted to change an improper fraction is a fraction where the numerator is greater than the denominator. So let's say we wanted to change it into a mixed number, right? What we have to do is, the denominator is 12, so we're going to subtract 19. We're going to subtract 12 from 19. So 19 minus 12. 9 minus 2 is 7. 1 minus 1 is 0. So we just left with 0, right? So the 12 came out of the 19 once. So this would be 1 for the 12, and then 7 over 12. Okay? So this is an improper fraction, this is a mixed fraction. If we wanted to change a mixed fraction back to improper, we just multiply 1 times 12 and then add the 7. 1 times 12 is 12, plus 7 is 19, and then put a little back over the 12. Yeah, right? So let's try multiplying and then dividing. Okay, when dividing fractions, just remember the simple rule: keep, change, flip. Okay? So, we're going to keep 2 over 3. We're going to change the division sign to a multiplication sign. And then we're going to flip this. So, let's do it together. Keep 2 over 3. Change the division to a multiplication. Flip this. So that'll be 6 over 1 as opposed to 1 over 6. And then we just went over multiplying. So multiply the top. 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 1 is 3. We all know 12 could divide by 3. 3, 6, 9, 12. 12 could go into 3 4 times. So our answer is 4. Okay? Sounds good? Alright. Okay, exponents. So, our instructions are to simplify 2x cubed times, remember, when you have a bracket, next to your bracket, or bracket next to a number, multiply 4x to the power of 5, right? So there are a lot of exponents that you're going to be introduced to. I like to think of the acronym PQPN. Power rule, quotient rule, product rule, and negative exponent rule. The rule we're going to be using right now is the product rule. And the product rule simply states that x to the power a times x to the power b is just x to the power of a plus b. So let's work on this step by step, right? So you're going to multiply like terms. And when I say like terms, you're going to multiply like numbers, right? So you're going to multiply 2 times 4. The x's, you deal with separately on its own. But for right now, when you look at this, you're going to multiply 2 times 4 first. This is just basically 2 times x cubed times 4 times x to the power 5. And you know when you're dealing with like terms, you want to switch it around so that you can know what exactly it is that you're multiplying. So 2 times 4 times x cubed times x to the power 5. Sorry. Let's just bring that down, right? So 2 times 4 is 8. Okay. So when we're dealing with x cubed times x to the power 5, that's equal to x to the power of 3 plus 5, which is x to the power of 8. So our answer would just be 8 times x to the power 8, which is just 8 x to the power 8. And that's our final answer. Okay, like terms with the same variable and exponent, right? In order to add and subtract, you only can add and subtract like terms. So we have a question. 7x minus 4x plus 3x plus 9. You can't subtract 7x minus 4 and say that's 3x. No, you can't do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to rearrange the question. So we're going to say 7x. By the way, we're simplifying this. Forgive me for not putting instructions. I'm still working on that because it's like when I see questions, I tend to already know what to do. So when I see this, I already know what to do. But I have to put in instructions. Forgive me for not doing that. So 7x, we're going to rearrange it. And when we rearrange it, we have to make sure we move the sign with it. So this is plus 3x. So we're going to move this plus 3x and put this here. Move that 4 over there. Minus 4 plus 9. Okay? And we're going to simplify it. So when you add in and subtracting terms, you won't remember we only could add and subtract like terms. So we have the same exponent. The same exponent and the same variable. So 7, we're going to add the numbers. 7 plus 3 is 10. We're going to keep the same x. So that'll be 10x. 7x plus 3x is 10x. And then minus 4 plus 9. Remember? When we have different signs, we subtract the two numbers and take the sign with the larger absolute value. So 9 minus 4. 9 minus 4 is 5. The absolute value of negative 4 is positive 4. The absolute value of 9 is 9. So which is the larger absolute value? 9. The sign of 9 is positive, so this is going to be positive 5. So plus 5. Think about it, let's just say negative 4 plus 9. You just rewrite it and say 9 minus 4. 9 minus 4 is 5. Yeah? Yeah. So there are multiple properties of real numbers. Today we're going to be focusing on the distributive property because it's one of the important properties. All are important, right? But you see the distributive property a lot. Okay, so when we're dealing with the distributive property, when you say the word distribute, what do you think? You're distributing, giving it out, right? So let's look at this, right? Let's see one area at a time. When I say area, I say that let's focus on this right here. Don't mind this. We can talk about this. Let's focus on this, right? You're going to distribute the 4 to the two terms. You're going to distribute and multiply them. So this is 4 times 2x, and this is 4 times negative 3. So this would be equal to 4 times 2x plus 4 times negative 3. 4 times 2x is 8x. So you multiply the 4 by 2, you get 8x. The instructions for this is simplified by 1. And then plus, remember when you multiply in two numbers with different signs, the sign is always negative. So it'll be plus negative 12. Right? So we did this area, let's do this. So again, distribute the negative 2. So negative 2 times x will be negative 2x. Negative 2 times 5 will be negative 10. Multiplying two numbers with different signs, negative. So that's negative 2 times positive 5, which is negative 10. Okay? So we can just bring this down. So negative 2x minus 10. Okay? Order of operations, adding and subtracting like terms. So we're going to multiply this. This is a positive times a negative. See that? And that's going to be negative. Different signs, you multiply different signs, it's always negative. So that's 8x minus 12 minus 2x minus 10. So now we're going to rewrite it so we can add and subtract our like terms. So this would be 8x minus 2x minus 12 minus 10. 8x minus 2x is 6x minus 22. Number, so 8 minus 2 will be 6 and keep the x. Negative 12 minus 10. Remember when you have the same sides, you add the numbers, so that'll be 12 plus 10, that'll give me 22, and keep the sign, so that's why I got the negative 22 from. So when we solve it for x, my first step will be to distribute. So you see this 3, x minus 2 and such. We're going to distribute the 3 to both. We want to make x, we want to isolate x and make x a subject. That means we want to see x equal to. Because at the end of the day, we solve it for a number that makes this side of the equation equal to this side of the equation. And I will show you what I mean by that. So let's distribute the 3. So 3 times x is 3x. 3 times negative 2 is minus 6. Bring down your x. Okay? So now we're going to add our like terms. So negative 6 plus 5. So remember, we subtract the numbers and take the sign of the value of the larger absolute value. So 6 minus 5 is 1. The larger absolute value would obviously be 6. And since 6 is negative, this would be negative 1. So this would be 3x minus 1 is equal to 2x plus 9. Okay, so we want to get all the terms with x on one side and all the constants. A constant is a number that doesn't have a variable. So negative 1 and 9 is constants. So we want all the terms with x on one side and all the constants on the other side. So to do that, we're going to transpose and send this 2x over. When we do that, because this 2x is positive over here, when we move it over here, it's going to be negative. So this would be 3x minus 2x minus 1 equals 9. So since we moved the 2x from here to over here, it became a negative. We're going to move this negative 1 from over here, over here. Since we're transposing and sending this from here over here, it was already negative, it's going to become a positive. So now we're going to have 3x minus 2x equals 9 plus 1. Since we moved this over here, it became a positive. Whenever you're transposing and sending stuff over, you have to change the signs. So now we're going to subtract. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 times x is just x. So x is equal to 10. So our x value is equal to 10, right? So what we're going to do, we already answered the question, but I wanted to show you what I mean by we want to find the number that's going to make this side equal to this side. At the end of the day, we solve for x and we solve for 10, right? So when we substitute 10 in here, we should get the same thing for on this side to over this side. So let's do that. We have 3 over bracket 10 minus 2 plus 5 is equal to 2 times 10 plus 9. 10 minus 2 is 8, so that would be 3 times 8 plus 5 is equal to 2 times 10 is 20 plus 20 plus 9. 3 times 8, 8, 16, 24. 8, 16, 24. So 3 times 8 is 24, so it's 24 plus 5 is equal to 20 plus 9 is 29. 24 plus 5 is 29. 29 is equal to 29, you see? So we were solving for a value that makes this side equal to this side. And we did. X is 10. Right? Okay, so solving equations with fractions. So on your test, and all these questions I'm giving, they're like entry-level kind of questions. The idea behind it, you need to know how to do. Because they're not going to give you entry-level. Now, mind you, when you're actually first attempting the topic in the question, they are going to give you entry-level questions, and the questions are very well going to increase in difficulty. But it's the same idea behind it, it's just a little harder. So for this, we want to solve for x. So we're basically trying to figure out what value, when we divide by 3 and then add 2, would give us 7. You may be able to think about it like right now, if I wanted to think of a answer, I'd be sitting there thinking a lot. But if I just solve it, then I'd figure out the answer. But you really need to know, if you don't want to attempt it, in order to think about it, your critical thinking skills have to be high. Okay? So, what we first want to do, especially when you have something like this with a fraction, I want to get rid of this fraction. So to do that, I have to multiply the entire question by 3, because this denominator is 3. I can't just multiply this by 3 and call it a day. No, you can't do that. You have to multiply the entire equation by 3. Because when I multiply this by 3, you see the 3 would divide out, and I'd just be left with the x. But like I said, you can't just do that to this. You have to multiply the entire equation by 3, so it stays equivalent. Okay? So when you multiply that by 3, this by 3, and this by 3. When we do that, that will be 3x divided by 3 plus 2 times 3 is 6 equals 7 times 3 is 21. So the 3's divided to each other, and we just left with x. So x plus 6 equals 21. Transpose. So send the 6 over. But when we do that, it's positive over here, it becomes negative. So, and for this kind of equation, you don't normally put the equal sign, because there's already equal sign and that'd be confusing. But I tend to do that. Okay? But I still want you to do it step by step so you'll lecture but see what you're doing. So this would just be x is equal to 21 minus 6. X is equal to, what's 21 minus 6? 21 minus 6 is 15, so x is equal to 15. Okay? So, like I say, if I think about it, that's really a wild thing. The original question was x over 3 plus 2 equals 7, right? Think about it. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. Yeah? Yeah. But a question like, let's say you did a question like x plus 2 equals 4. Thinking about it, like, and not even as like a x plus 2 is equal to 4. So I want you to think of it in terms of what number can I substitute for x and get 4. Okay, so look at my fingers. You see what I did for y'all? My fingers are blue now. But that's everything that you would need to at least cover and freshen up your skills in order to be successful. Not only be successful, just to make Math 1, whichever math course you're entering, a little more smoother. You should at least know those base topics so that you can make sure that your class, you should at least know those base topics so when you enter your class, learning can be a little more smoother. So like I say, I'm going to put a worksheet. I'm going to create a below, and in that little worksheet, kind of a little work, it's going to be a mini workbook, right? So in that, it's going to have a QR code that will send you to videos that can further help you. So the first person that sends me an answer for a question from each topic that we covered. So it don't matter, you don't have to send, it don't matter, just choose a question, show me a step-by-step answer. So the topics we covered were, in the workbook, it will have the different topics we covered. So we covered order of operations. So you're gonna choose a question for order of operations, solve it, move on. Operations with negative numbers. Choose a question from order operations with negative numbers, solve it, move on. Choose a question from every single one of the topics we covered, send it to me, and once it's correct, I will give you a prize. So the first person that does that. Matter of fact, the first 3 people will get a prize. So send the answers to, or send the sheet, because I want to actually understand what it is that you're showing me. Send the sheets or photo sheets or whatever you're doing it on to 242-438-0631 to get a prize. And I wish you all the best in your upcoming semesters. Please, that team number, if you have any issues with a particular topic, just send it to me. I will see if I can assist you with it, write out explaining or making a video. But just know as the semester approaches that university offers peer tutoring again, and I'm one of the peer tutors. So please, if you know you're going to need assistance with any of the math courses, reach out and I can see how best I can assist you. Okay? Thank you for watching. Bye. Hi, my name is Rakitra An-to-nee-uh Prosper. Oh no, let me fix my hair. Let's fix this hair. Yeah. Fix. I had to walk across the road to extra value and get, because this keeps giving me problems erasing the board. So. Thank you, Jesus. See, look. Oh, these ones. Look at my hands.